First Brahmana. That the invisible Brahman is full. This, the visible Brahman, is full. This full visible Brahman proceeds from that full invisible Brahman. On grasping the fullness of this full visible Brahman, there is left that full invisible Brahman. Om is ether, is Brahman. There is the old ether, the invisible, and the visible ether of the atmosphere. Thus said Kauravya Yaniputra. This, the Om, is the Veda, the means of knowledge. Thus the Brahmanas know. One knows through it all that has to be known. Second Brahmana. The threefold descendants of Prajapati, gods, men, and asuras, evil spirits, dwelt as brahmacharins, students, with their father Prajapati. Having finished their studentship, the gods said, "Tell us something, sir." He told them the syllable Da. Then he said, "Did you understand?" They said, "We did understand." "You told us Damyata, be subdued." "Yes," he said, "you have understood." Then men said to him, "Tell us something, sir." He told them the same syllable, Da. Then he said, "Did you understand?" They said, "We did understand." "You told us Datta, give." "Yes," he said, "you have understood." Then the asuras said to him, "Tell us something, sir." He told them the syllable Da. Then he said, "Did you understand?" They said, "We did understand." "You told us Dayadham, be merciful." "Yes," he said, "you have understood." The divine voice of thunder repeats the same Da, 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 that is, be subdued, give, be merciful. Therefore let that triad be taught: subduing, giving, and mercy. Third Brahmana. Prajapati is the heart, is this Brahman, is all this. The heart, Hridaya, consists of 3 syllables. One syllable is Hri, and to him who knows this, his own people and others bring offerings. One syllable is Da, and to him who knows this, his own people and others bring gifts. One syllable is Yam, and he who knows this goes to heaven, Swarga, as his world. Fourth Brahmana. This heart indeed is even that. It was indeed the true Brahman. And whosoever knows this great glorious firstborn as the true Brahman, he conquers these worlds, and conquered likewise may that enemy be. Yes, whosoever knows this great glorious firstborn as the true Brahman, for Brahman is the true. Fifth Brahmana. In the beginning this world was water. Water produced the true, and the true is Brahman. Brahman produced Prajapati. Prajapati, the Devas, gods. The Devas adore the true Satyam alone. This Satyam consists of 3 syllables. One syllable is Sa, another Ti, the third Yam. The first and last syllables are true. In the middle there is the untrue. This untrue is on both sides enclosed by the true, and thus the true preponderates. The untrue does not hurt him who knows this. Now what is the true? That is the Aditya, the sun, the person that dwells in yonder orb, and the person in the right eye. These two rest on each other, the former resting with his rays in the latter, the latter with his prana senses in the former. When the latter is on the point of departing this life, he sees that orb as white only, and those rays of the sun do not return to him. Now of the person in that solar orb, Bhu is the head, for the head is one, and that syllable is one. Bhuva, the two arms, for the arms are two, and these syllables are two. Sava, the foot, for the feet are two, and these syllables are two. Its secret name is Ahar, day, and he who knows this destroys Hanti, evil, and leaves Jahati, it. Sixth Brahmana. That person under the form of mind, Manas, being light indeed, is within the heart, small like a grain of rice or barley. He is the ruler of all, the lord of all. He rules all this, whatsoever exists. Seventh Brahmana. They say that lightning is Brahman, because lightning, Vidyut, is called so from cutting off Vidant. Whosoever knows this, that lightning is Brahman, him that Brahman cuts off from evil, for lightning indeed is Brahman. Eighth Brahmana. Let him meditate on speech as a cow. Her four udders are the words Swaha, Vashat, Hanta, and Swadha. The gods live on two of her udders, the Swaha and the Vashat, men on the Hanta, the fathers on the Swadha. The bull of that cow is breath, prana, the calf the mind. Ninth Brahmana. Agni Visvanara is the fire within man, by which the food that is eaten is cooked, that is, digested. Its noise is that which one hears if one covers one's ears. When he is on the point of departing this life, he does not hear that noise. Tenth Brahmana. When the person goes away from this world, he comes to the wind. Then the wind makes room for him like the hole of a carriage wheel, and through it he mounts higher. He comes to the sun. Then the sun makes room for him like the hole of a lambara, and through it he mounts higher. He comes to the moon. Then the moon makes room for him like the hole of a drum, and through it he mounts higher, and arrives at the world where there is no sorrow, no snow. There he dwells eternal years. 11th Brahmana. This is indeed the highest penance. If a man laid up with sickness suffers pain, he who knows this conquers the highest world. This is indeed the highest penance. If they carry a dead person into the forest, he who knows this conquers the highest world. This is indeed the highest penance. If they place a dead person on the fire, he who knows this conquers the highest world. 12th Brahmana. Some say that food is Brahman, but this is not so. For food decays without life, prana. Others say that life, prana, is Brahman, but this is not so. for life dries up without food. Then these two deities, food and life, when they have become one, reach that highest state, that is, are Brahman. Thereupon Pratrida said to his father, "Shall I be able to do any good to one who knows this, or shall I be able to do him any harm?" The father said to him, beckoning with his hand, "Not so, Pratrida, for who could reach the highest state if he has only got to the oneness of these two?" He then said to him, "We, verily, food is we, for all these brings rest, Vishrani, on food." He then said, "Ram, verily, life is Ram, for all these things delight, Ramante, in food. All beings rest on him, all beings delight in him, who knows this." 13th Brahmana. Next follows the Ukta. Verily, breath prana is Ukta, for breath rises up, Uttapayati, all this. From him who knows this, there is raised a wise son. Knowing the Ukta, he obtains union and oneness with the Ukta. Next follows the Yajus. Verily, breath is Yajus, for all these things are joined in breath. For him who knows this, all beings are joined to procure his excellence. He obtains union and oneness with the Yajus. Next follows the Saman. Verily, breath is the Saman, for all these beings meet in breath. For him who knows this, all beings meet to procure his excellence. He obtains union and oneness with the Saman. Next follows the Shatra. Verily, breath is the Shatra, that is, breath protects Trayate, him, from being hurt, Shani. He who knows this obtains Shatra, power, which requires no protection. He obtains union and oneness with Shatra. 14th Brahmana. The words Bhumi, earth, Antariksha, sky, and dew, heaven, form 8 syllables. 1 foot of the Gayatri consists of 8 syllables. This 1 foot of it is that is, the 3 worlds. And he who thus knows that foot of it conquers as far as the 3 worlds extend. The Rikas, the Yajumsi, and the Samani form 8 syllables. 1 foot, the second, of the Gayatri consists of 8 syllables. This 1 foot of it is that is, the 3 Vedas, the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and Sama Veda. And he who thus knows that foot of it conquers as far as that threefold knowledge extends. The prana, the up-breathing, the apana, the down-breathing, and the vyana, the back-breathing, form 8 syllables. 1 foot, the third, of the Gayatri consists of 8 syllables. This 1 foot of it is that is, the 3 vital breaths. And he who thus knows that foot of it conquers as far as there is anything that breathes. And of that Gayatri or speech, this indeed is the 4th Turiya, the bright Dharasata foot, shining high above the skies. What is here called the Turiya, the 4th, is meant for the Chaturtha, the 4th. What is called Dharasatam Padam, the bright foot, is meant for him who is as it were seen, the person in the sun. And what is called Parorajas, he who shines high above the skies, is meant for him who shines higher and higher above every day. And he who thus knows that foot of the Gayatri shines thus himself also with happiness and glory. That Gayatri, as described before, with its 3 feet, rests on that 4th foot, the bright one, high above the sky, and that again rests on the true Satyam, and the true is the I, for the I is known to be true. And therefore, even now, if 2 persons come disputing, the one saying, I saw, the other, I heard, then we should trust the one who says, I saw. And the true again rests on force, Balam, and force is life, Prana, and that the true rests on life. Therefore they say, force is stronger than the true. Thus does that Gayatri rest with respect to the self as life. That Gayatri protects Tatre, the vital breaths, Gayas. The Gayas are the Pranas, vital breaths, and it protects them. And because it protects Tatre, the vital breaths, Gayas, therefore it is called Gayatri. And that Savitri verse which the teacher teaches, that is it, the life, the prana, and indirectly the Gayatri, and whomsoever he teaches, he protects his vital breaths. Some teach that Savitri as an Anustubh verse, saying that speech is Anustubh, and that we teach that speech. Let no one do this, but let him teach the Gayatri as Savitri, and even if one knows this, receives what seems to be much as his reward as a teacher, yet this is not equal to 1 foot of the Gayatri. If a man, a teacher, were to receive as his fee these 3 worlds full of all things, he would obtain that 1st foot of the Gayatri. And if a man were to receive as his fee everything as far as this 3-fold knowledge extends, he would obtain that 2nd foot of the Gayatri. And if a man were to receive as his fee everything whatsoever breathes, he would obtain that 3rd foot of the Gayatri. But that 4th bright foot, shining high above the skies, cannot be obtained by anybody. Whence then could one receive such a fee? The adoration of that Gayatri. O Gayatri, thou hast 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet. Thou art footless, for thou art not known. Worship to thy 4th bright foot above the skies. If one who knows this hates someone and says, may he not obtain this, or may this wish not be accomplished to him, then that wish is not accomplished to him against whom he thus prays. Or if he says, may I obtain this. And thus Janaka Vaideha spoke on this point to Budila Asvatrasvi. How is it that thou, who spokest thus as knowing the Gayatri, hast become an elephant and carriest me? He answered, Your Majesty, I did not know its mouth. Agni, fire, is indeed its mouth, and if people pile even what seems much wood on the fire, it consumes it all. And thus a man who knows this, even if he commits what seems much evil, consumes it all, and becomes pure, clean, and free from decay and death. 15th Brahmana. The face of the true, the Brahman, is covered with a golden disc. Open that, O Pushan, that we may see the nature of the true. O Pushan, only seer, Yama, judge, Surya, sun, son of Prajapati, spread thy rays and gather them. The light which is thy fairest form, I see it. I am what is he, namely, the person in the sun. Breath to air and to the immortal, then this my body ends in ashes. Om. Mind, remember, remember thy deeds. Mind, remember, remember thy deeds. Agni, lead us to wealth, beatitude, by a good path, thou, O God, who knowest all things. Keep far from us crooked evil, and we shall offer thee the fullest praise. End of 5th Adhyaya. First Brahmana. Hari Om. He who knows the first and the best becomes himself the first and the best among his people. Breath is indeed the first and the best. He who knows this becomes the first and the best among his people, and among whosoever he wishes to be so. He who knows the richest becomes himself the richest among his people. Speech is the richest. He who knows this becomes the richest among his people, and among whomsoever he wishes to be so. He who knows the firm rest becomes himself firm on even and uneven ground. The eye indeed is the firm rest, for by means of the eye a man stands firm on even and uneven ground. He who knows this stands firm on even and uneven ground. He who knows success, whatever desire he desires, it succeeds him. The ear indeed is success, for in the ear are all these Vedas successful. He who knows this, whatever desire he desires, it succeeds him. He who knows the home becomes a home of his own people, a home of all men. The mind indeed is a home. He who knows this becomes a home of his own people, and a home of all men. He who knows generation becomes rich in offspring and cattle. Seed indeed is generation. He who knows this becomes rich in offspring and cattle. These pranas, senses, when quarrelling together as to who was the best, went to Brahman and said, "Who is the richest of us?" He replied, "He by whose departure this body seems worst, he is the richest." The tongue speech departed, and having been absent for a year, it came back and said, "How have you been able to live without me?" They replied, "Like unto people not speaking with the tongue, but breathing with the breath, seeing with the eye, hearing with the ear, knowing with the mind, generating with seed. Thus we have lived." Then speech entered in, the eye sight departed, and having been absent for a year, it came back and said, "How have you been able to live without me?" They replied, "Like blind people, not seeing with the eye, but breathing with the breath, speaking with the tongue, hearing with the ear, knowing with the mind, generating with seed. Thus we have lived." Then the eye entered in, the ear hearing departed, and having been absent for a year, it came back and said, "How have you been able to live without me?" They replied, "Like deaf people, not hearing with the ear, but breathing with the breath, speaking with the tongue, seeing with the eye, knowing with the mind, generating with seed. Thus we have lived." Then the ear entered in, the mind departed, and having been absent for a year, it came back and said, "How have you been able to live without me?" They replied, "Like fools, not knowing with their mind, but breathing with the breath, seeing with the eye, hearing with the ear, generating with seed. Thus we have lived. Then the mind entered in. The seed departed, and having been absent for a year, it came back and said, "How have you been able to live without me?" They replied, "Like impotent people, not generating with seed, but breathing with the breath, seeing with the eye, hearing with the ear, knowing with the mind. Thus we have lived." Then the seed entered in. The vital breath, when on the point of departing, tore up these senses, as a great excellent horse of the Sindhu country might tear up the pegs to which he is tethered. They said to him, "Sir, do not depart. We shall not be able to live without thee." He said, "Then make me an offering." They said, "Let it be so." Then the tongue said, "If I am the richest, then thou art the richest by it." The eye said, "If I am the firm rest, then thou art possessed of firm rest by it." The ear said, "If I am success, then thou art possessed of success by it." The mind said, "If I am the home, thou art the home by it." The seed said, "If I am generation, thou art possessed of generation by it." He said, "What shall be food, what shall be dress for me?" They replied, "Whatever there is, even unto dogs, worms, insects, and birds, that is thy food, and water thy dress." He who thus knows the food of Anna, the breath, by him nothing is eaten that is not proper food, nothing is received that's not proper food. Strotriyas, Vedic theologians who know this, rinse the mouth with water when they are going to eat, and rinse the mouth with water after they have eaten, thinking that thereby they make the breath dressed with water. Second Brahmana. Shwetaketu went to the settlement of Panchalas. He came near to Pravahana Gaivali, who was walking about, surrounded by his men. As soon as the king saw him, he said, "My boy." Shwetaketu replied, "Sir." Then the king said, "Have you been taught by your father?" "Yes," he replied. The king said, "Do you know how men, when they depart from here, separate from each other?" "No," he replied. "Do you know how they come back to this world?" "No," he replied. "Do you know how that world does never become full with the many who again and again depart thither?" "No," he replied. "Do you know at the offering of which libation the waters become endowed with a human voice and rise and speak?" "No," he replied. "Do you know the access to the path leading to the Devas, and to the path leading to the Fathers? That is, by what deeds men gain access to the path leading to the Devas, or to that leading to the Fathers? For we have heard even the saying of Rishi, 'I heard of two paths for men, one leading to the Fathers, the other leading to the Devas. On those paths all that lives moves on, whatever there is between Father Sky and Mother Earth.'" Shwetaketu said, "I do not know even one of all these questions." Then the king invited him to stay and accept his hospitality. But the boy, not caring for hospitality, ran away, went back to his father and said, "Thus then you call me formerly well instructed." The father said, "What then, you sage?" The son replied, "That fellow of a Rajanya asked me 5 questions, and I did not know one of them." "What are they?" said the father. "These were they," the son replied, mentioning the different heads. The father said, "You know me, child, that whatever I know I told you. But come, we shall go thither, and dwell there as students." "You may go, sir," the son replied. Then Gautama went there, the place of Pravahana Gaivali was, and the king offered him a seat, ordered water for him, and gave him the proper offerings. Then he said to him, "Sir, we offer a boon to Gautama." Gautama said, "That boon is promised to me. Tell me the same speech which you made in the presence of my boy." He said, "That belongs to divine boons. Name one of the human boons." He said, "You know well that I have plenty of gold, plenty of cows, horses, slaves, attendants, and apparel. Do not heap on me what I have already in plenty, in abundance, and superabundance." The king said, "Gautama, do you wish for instruction from me in the proper way?" Gautama replied, "I come to you as a pupil. In word only have former sages, through Brahmanas, came as pupils to people of lower rank, but Gautama actually dwelt as a pupil of Pravahana, who was Rajanya, in order to obtain the fame of having respectfully served his master." The king said, "Do not offend with us, neither you nor your forefathers, because this knowledge has before now never dwelt with any Brahmana. But I shall tell it to you, for who could refuse you when you speak thus? The altar fire, O Gautama, is that world heaven. The fuel is the sun itself, the smoke his rays, the light the day, the coals the quarters, the sparks the intermediate quarters. On that altar the Devas offer the Shraddha libation, consisting of water. From that oblation rises Soma, the king, the moon. The altar, O Gautama, is Parjanya, the god of rain. The fuel is the year itself, the smoke the clouds, the light the lightning, the coals the thunderbolt, the sparks the thunderings. On that altar the Devas offer Soma, the king, the moon. From that oblation rises rain. The altar, O Gautama, is this world. The fuel is the earth itself, the smoke the fire, the light the night, the coals the moon, the sparks the stars. On that altar the Devas offer rain. From that oblation rises food. The altar, O Gautama, is man. The fuel the opened mouth, the smoke the breath, the light the tongue, the coals the eye, the sparks the ear. On that altar the Devas offer food. From that oblation rises seed. The altar, O Gautama, is woman. On that altar the Devas offer seed. From that oblation rises man. He lives so long as he lives, and then when he dies, they take him to the fire, the funeral pile. And then the altar fire is indeed fire, the fuel, fuel, the smoke, smoke, the light, light, the coals, coals, the sparks, sparks. In that very altar fire the Devas offer man, and from that oblation man rises, brilliant in colour. Those who thus know this, even Grihasthas, and those who in the forest worship faith and the true Brahman Hiranyagarbha, go to light Archis, from light to day, from day to the increasing half, from the increasing half to the 6 months when the sun goes to the north, from those 6 months to the worlds of Brahman, they dwell exalted for ages. There is no returning for them. But they who conquer the world's future states by means of sacrifice, charity, and austerity go to smoke, from smoke to night, from night to the decreasing half of the moon, from the decreasing half of the moon to the 6 months when the sun goes to the south, from these months to the world of the fathers, from the world of the fathers to the moon. Having reached the moon, they become food, and then the Devas feed on them there, as sacrificers feed on Soma, as it increases and decreases. But when this, the result of their good works on earth, ceases, they return again to that ether, from ether to the air, from the air to rain, from rain to the earth. And when they have reached the earth, they become food. They are offered again in the altar fire, which is man, and thence are born in the fire woman. Thus they rise up towards the worlds, and go the same round as before. Those, however, who know neither of these two paths become worms, birds, and creeping things. Third Brahmana. If a man wishes to reach greatness, wealth, for performing sacrifices, he performs the upanishad rule during 12 days. That is, he lives on small quantities of milk, beginning on an auspicious day of the light half of the moon during the northern progress of the sun, collecting at the same time in a cup or a dish made of udumbra wood all sorts of herbs, including fruits. He sweeps the floor near the house altar, avastya, sprinkles it, lays the fire, spreads grass round it according to rule, prepares the clarified butter, ajya, and on a day presided over by a male star, nakshatra, after having properly mixed the mantha, the herbs, fruits, milk, honey, etc., he sacrifices. He pours ajya into the fire, saying, "O Jata Vedas, whatever adverse gods there are in thee, who defeat the desires of men, to them I offer this portion. May they, being pleased, please me with all desires. Swaha." That cross deity who lies down thinking that all things are kept asunder by her, I worship thee as propitious with this stream of ghee. Swaha. He then says Swaha to the first, Swaha to the best, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha, mortar. He then says Swaha to breath, Swaha to her who is the richest, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha, mortar. He then says Swaha to speech, Swaha to the support, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha, mortar. He then says Swaha to the eye, Swaha to success, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha, mortar. He then says Swaha to the ear, Swaha to the home, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha, mortar. He then says Swaha to the mind, Swaha to offspring, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha, mortar. He then says Swaha to seed, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha, mortar. He then says Swaha to Agni, fire, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha, mortar. He then says Swaha to Soma, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha, mortar. He then says Bhu, earth, Swaha, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha mortar. He then says Bhuva, sky, Swaha, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha mortar. He then says Swa, heaven, Swaha, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha mortar. He then says Bhu, Bhuva, Sava, Saha, pours ghee into the water, and throws what remains into the mantha mortar. He then says Swaha to Brahman, the priesthood, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha mortar. He then says Swaha to Kshatriya, the knighthood, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha mortar. He then says Swaha to the past, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha mortar. He then says Swaha to the future, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha mortar. He then says Swaha to the universe, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha mortar. He then says Swaha to all things, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha mortar. He then says Swaha to Prajapati, pours ghee into the fire, and throws what remains into the mantha mortar. Then he touches it, the mantha, which is dedicated to prana, breath, saying, Thou art fleet as breath, thou art burning as fire, thou art full as Brahman, thou art firm as the sky, thou art the abode of all as the earth. Thou hast been saluted with hin at the beginning of the sacrifice by the Prastotri. Thou art saluted with hin in the middle of the sacrifice by the Prastotri. Thou hast been sung by the Udgatri at the beginning of the sacrifice. Thou art sung by the Udgatri in the middle of the sacrifice. Thou hast been celebrated by the Advarya at the beginning of the sacrifice. Thou art celebrated again by the Agnidra in the middle of the sacrifice. Thou art bright in the wet cloud. Thou art great. Thou art powerful. Thou art food as Soma. Thou art light as Agni, fire, the eater. Thou art the end. Thou art the absorption of all things. Then he holds it, the mantha, forth, saying, Thou knowest all. We know thy greatness. He is indeed a king, a ruler, the highest Lord. May that king, that ruler, make me the highest Lord. Then he eats it, saying, Tat savitur varenayam. We meditate on that adorable light. The winds drop honey for the righteous. The rivers drop honey. May our plants be sweet as honey. Bhu earth, Swaha. Bhargo devasya dimahi, of the divine Savitri. May the night be honey in the morning. May the air above the earth, may heaven our Father be honey. Bhuva, sky, Swaha. Diyo yona prajodaya, who should rouse our thoughts. May the tree be full of honey. May the sun be full of honey. May our cows be sweet like honey. Swa, heaven, Swaha. He repeats the whole Savitri verse and all the verses about the honey, thinking, May I be all this. Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha, Swaha. Having thus swallowed all, he washes his hands and sits down behind the altar, turning his head to the east. In the morning he worships Aditya the sun with the hymn, "Thou art the best lotus of the four quarters. May I become the best lotus among men." Then, returning as he came, it sits down behind the altar and recites the genealogical list. Uddalaka Aruni told this Manta doctrine to his people Vajasaniya Yajnavalkya, and said, "If a man were to pour it on a dry stick, branches would grow and leaves spring forth." Vajasanya Yajnavalkya told the same to his pupil Madhuka Paingya, and said, "If a man were to pour it on a dry stick, branches would grow and leaves spring forth." Madhuka Paingya told the same to his people Kula Bhagavati, and said, "If a man were to pour it on a dry stick, branches would grow and leaves spring forth." Chula Bhagavati told the same to his pupil Janaki Ayastuna, and said, "If a man were to pour it on a dry stick, branches would grow and leaves spring forth." Janaki Ayastuna told the same to his people Satyakama Gabala, and said, "If a man were to pour it on a dry stick, branches would grow and leaves spring forth." Satyakama Gabala told the same to his pupils, and said, "If a man were to pour it on a dry stick, branches would grow and leaves spring forth." Let no one tell this to any one except to a son or to a pupil. 4 things are made of the wood of the Udumbra tree: the sacrificial ladle, Sruva; the cup, Chamsa; the fuel, and the 2 churning sticks. There are 10 kinds of village cultivated seeds, namely rice and barley, brithiyavas, sesame and kidney beans, thilamashas, millet and panic seed, anupriyanagavas, wheat, gaudamas, lentils, masuras, pulse, kalavas, and vetches, kalakulas. After having ground these, he sprinkles them with curds, dahi, honey, and ghee, and then offers the proper portions of clarified butter, ajya. 4th Brahmana. The earth is the essence of all these things. Water is the essence of the earth. Plants of water, flowers of plants, fruits of flowers, man of fruits, seed of man. And Prajapati thought, "Let me make an abode for him," and he created woman. Satarupa Tam Sirishhtavada Upasta Tasmat Striyam Ada Upasta Sa Yetam Pranajam Gravanam Atmana Eva Samudaprayat Tenayinam Abhyasrijat Tasya Vedir Upasto Lomani Barhis Karma Dishahavane Samidho Madhyatas Taumushku Sayavan Havai Vajapayana Yajamanyasa Loko Bhavati Tavan Asya Loko Bhavati Ya Evam Vidvan Adopasam Chartiyasa Srinam Suchriyatam Vrinkte Taya Idam Avidvan Adopasam Charte Asya Striya Sukritam Virinjate. etad dasmavai tadavidan udalaka arunir ahitad dasmavai tadavidan nako maudgalya ahitad dasamavai tadavidvan kumara harita aha bahavo marya brahanayana niridriya visukrito smalokata prayanti yaidam avidasmo dapadasmam krantiti bhuvaidam suptasya va jagrato vareta skandati tad abhimrisad anuva mantrayetayan medyareta prithivim agansted yad oshadir api asradyadapa idam aham tad reta adede punarmam aitvib indiryam punasteja punarbhaga punar agnayo dishnaya yatastinam kalpatyam iti anamikanagushtabhayam adyantarena stanuva buruvanuva nimrinjayat. If a man see himself in the water, he should recite the following verse: May there be in me splendor, strength, glory, wealth, virtue. She is the best of women, whose garments are pure. Therefore let him approach a woman whose garments are pure, and whose fame is pure, and address her. If she do not give in, let him, as he likes, bribe her with presents. And if she then do not give in, let him, as he likes, beat her with a stick or with his hand, and overcome her, saying, with manly strength and glory I take away thy glory, and thus she becomes unglorious. If she give in, he says, with manly strength and glory I give thee glory, and thus they both become glorious. Sayam ichet kamayeta meti tasyam artham nisthaya mukhena mukham sandhyayopastam asya abhimrisya japed anganagat sambhavasi hridayadadi jayase satvam angakashyao sidigdhavidham iva madhyamemam amummayati atayam ikhinna garbham dadihiti tasyam artam nisthaya mukhena mukham sandhyaya vipranaya paniyad indreyana te rethasa retha adada iti areta iva bhavati atayam ikkhed garbham dahitehi tasyam artam nisthaya mukhena mukham sandaya panapi pranayad indriyena te retsa reta adamiti garbine eva bhavati. Now again, if a man's wife has a lover, and the husband hates him, let him, according to rule, place fire by an unbaked jar, spread a layer of arrows in inverse order, anoint these 3 arrow heads with butter in inverse order, and sacrifice, saying, Thou hast sacrificed in my fire. I take away thy up and down breathing, I hear. Thou hast sacrificed in my fire. I take away thy sons and cattle, I hear. Thou hast sacrificed in my fire. I take away thy sacred and thy good works, I hear. Thou hast sacrificed in my fire. I take away thy hope and expectation, I hear. He whom a Brahmana who knows this curses departs from this world without strength and without good works. Therefore let no one wish even for the sport with the wife of a Strotriya who knows this, for he who knows this is a dangerous enemy. When the monthly illness seizes his wife, she should for 3 days not drink from a metal vessel and wear a fresh dress. Let no Vrishala or Vrishali, a Sudra man or woman, touch her. At the end of the 3 days, when she has bathed, the husband should make her pound rice. And if a man wishes that a white son should be born to him, and that he should know one Veda and live to his full age, then after having prepared boiled rice with milk and butter, they should both eat, being fit to have offspring. And if a man wishes that a reddish son with tawny eyes should be born to him, and that he should know 2 Vedas and live to his full age, then after having prepared boiled rice with coagulated milk and butter, they should both eat, being fit to have offspring. And if a man wishes that a dark son should be born to him with red eyes, and that he should know 3 Vedas and live to his full age, then after having prepared boiled rice with water and butter, they should both eat, being fit to have offspring. And if a man wishes that a learned daughter should be born to him, and that she should live to her full age, then after having prepared boiled rice with sesame and butter, they should both eat, being fit to have offspring. And if a man wishes that a learned son should be born to him, famous, a public man, a popular speaker, then he should know all the Vedas, and that he should live to his full age. Then after having prepared boiled rice with meat and butter, they should both eat, being fit to have offspring. The meat should be of a young and an old bull. And then toward morning, after having, according to the rule of the Stalipaka, pot boiling, performed the preparation of the ajya, clarified butter, he sacrifice from the Stalipaka bit by bit, saying, This is for Agni, Swaha. This is for Anumati, Swaha. This is for the divine Savitri, the true creator, Swaha. Having sacrificed, he takes out the rest of the rice and eats it, and after having eaten, he gives it to his wife. Then he washes his hands, fills a water jar, and sprinkles her thrice with it, saying, Rise hence, O Visvavasu, seek another blooming girl, a wife with her husband. Then he embraces her and says, I am Ama, breath, thou art Sa, speech, thou art Sa, speech, I am Ama, breath. I am the salmon, thou art the rick. I am the sky, thou art the earth. Come, let us strive together that a male child may be begotten. Atasya uru vihapayati vijihitam dyava prithvi iti tasyam artham nisthaya mukhena mukham sandayatrir enam anulomam anumarsti Vishnur yonim kalpayatu tvasta rupani pimsatu asnijatu prajapatir data garbham dataute garbham dehi Srinivali garbham dehi pritushastiki garbham te asvinu dhava adattam pushkara sajadu hiranmayi arani yabhayam nirmantatam asvinu tam te garbham have mahe dasame masti sutave yata gini garba prithvi yata dayur indrena garbini vayur disam yata garba evam garbam dadhami te saviti sosyantim advir adyakshakti yata vayuk pushkaranitam saminyagakati sarvata eva te garba ijatu savavintu jarayuna indrasayam varaja kirita sarcha saprasaya tam indra nirjahi garbhena savaram saheti. When the child is born, he prepares the fire, places the child on his lap, and having poured prishadajya, that is dadi, thick milk, mixed with grita, clarified butter, into a metal jug, he sacrifices bit by bit of that prashadajya, saying, "May I, as I increase in this my house, nourish 1,000. May fortune never fail in his race. May offspring and cattle, swaha. I offer to thee in my mind the vital breaths which are in me, swaha. Whatever in my work I have done too much, or whatever I have done too little, may the wise Agni Swastachrit make this right and proper for us, swaha." Then, by putting his mouth near the child's right ear, he says thrice, "Speech, speech." After that he pours together thick milk, honey, and clarified butter, and feeds the child with a ladle of pure gold, saying, "I give thee bhu, I give thee bhuva, I give thee sava, bhur bhuvat sava, I give thee all." Then he gives him his name, saying, "Thou art Veda," but this is his secret name. Then he hands the boy to his mother and gives him her breast, saying, "O Saraswati, that breast of thine which is inexhaustible, delightful, abundant, wealthy, generous, by which thou cherishest all blessings, make that to flow here." Then he addresses the mother of the boy, "Thou art a Maitra Varuni, thou strong woman hast born a strong boy. Be thou blessed with strong children, thou hast blessed me with a strong child." And they say of such a boy, "Thou art better than thy father, thou art better than thy grandfather." Truly, he has reached the highest point in happiness, praise, and Vedic glory, who is born as the son of a Brahmana that knows this. Fifth Brahmana. Now follows the stem. Pautimashi putra from Katyayani putra Katyayani Putra from Gotami Putra, Gotami Putra from Bharadvaji Putra, Bharadvaji Putra from Parasari Putra, Parasari Putra from Apuvasati Putra, Apuvasati Putra from Parasari Putra, Parasari Putra from Katyayani Putra, Katyayani Putra from Kaushiki Putra, Kaushiki Putra from Alambi Putra and Vyagrapati Putra, Alambi Putra and Vyagrapati Putra from Kanvi Putra, Kanvi Putra from Kapiputra, Kapiputra from Atreyi Putra, Atreyi Putra from Gautami Putra, Gautami Putra from Bharadvaji Putra, Bharadvaji Putra from Parasari Putra, Parasari Putra from Vatsiputra, Vatsiputra from Parasari Putra, Parasari Putra from Varakani Putra, Varakaruni Putra from Varakaruni Putra, Varakaruni Putra from Arthabhagi Putra, Arthabhagi Putra from Sanugi Putra, Sanugi Putra from Sankariti Putra, Sankariti Putra from Alambayani Putra, Alambayani Putra from Alambi Putra, Alambi Putra from Gayanti Putra, Gayanti Putra from Mandukayani Putra, Mandukayani Putra from Manduki Putra, Manduki Putra from Sandili Putra, Sandili Putra from Ratithari Putra, Ratithari Putra from Baluki Putra, Baluki Putra from Karunachiki Putra, Karunachiki Putra from Vaitabhati Putra, Vaitabhati Putra from Kasarakeyi Putra, Kasarakeyi Putra from Prachina Yogi Putra, Prachina Yogi Putra from Sanjeevi Putra, Sanjeevi Putra from Pasini Putra Asurvasin, Pasini Putra Asurvasin from Asurayana, Asurayana from Asuri, Asuri from Yagnavalkya, Yagnavalkya from Uddalaka, Uddalaka from Aruna, Aruna from Upavesi, Upavesi from Kusri, Kusri from Vajasaravas, Vajasaravas from Jihavat Vada Yoga, Jihavat Vad Yoga from Asita Varshangana, Asita Varshangana from Harita Kasyapa, Harita Kasyapa from Silpa Kasyapa, Silpa Kasyapa from Kasyapa Naidurvi, Kasyapa Naidurvi from Vak, Vak from Ambini, Ambini from Aditya the sun. As coming from Aditya the sun, these pure Yajus verses have been proclaimed by Yajnavalkya Vajasanya. The same as far as Sanjeeviputra, then Sanjeeviputra from Mandukyani, Mandukyani from Mandavya, Mandavya from Kautsa, Kautsa from Mahiti, Mahiti from Vamakakashayana, Vamakakashayana from Sandilya, Sandilya from Vatsya, Vatsya from Kusri, Yajnavachas Rajastambhayana from Thura Kavasheya, Thura Kavasheya from Prajapati, Prajapati from Brahman. Brahman is Swayambhu, self-existent. Adoration to Brahman. End of 6th Adhyaya. End of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad.